Hey guys. Hey Bill, couldn't find my copy yet. Haven't forgotten. David, good morning. Stuart, good morning. Oh, good evening. Bill's still got 5 beers left. She's doing great. Hey, Wazza. Mark, g'day. Mats, Stuart, Jim Minnick, hello. Maddie, g'day. Dan, Fridge, g'day. Hey, Paul. Tritz4, g'day. Weren't you here before? Okay, we'll work that out. Paul, g'day. Craig, hello. 624 Dudley, g'day. Hey, Kevin. Hey guys. John Creasy, g'day. Stephen Lane, g'day. What's everyone up to? What exciting things are going on? New video from Maddie. I think Craig put the link up. 6 a.m. is reasonable, Stephen. Nice engine, Maddie. Could do with a bit less mass, maybe it might run a bit quicker. What's everyone else up to? I'm not long home from work. Don't start watching Clickspring. It gives you unreasonable expectations of all the other YouTube creators. Hey, Matt. No, it's not. The planned format is to make actual videos, but I'm a bit slack. And this happens anyway. So what you've got is a channel that doesn't make any videos, but live stream happens anyway. So we're stuck with live stream, but hopefully we'll put some other stuff in as well. That's where I'm at. Hang around because we will have some pretty cool videos, I hope, at some point. There's Nigel. New video from Nigel this week. There's no format. Video 8 and the Vice build, I think it's finished. Awesome build, really nice. Go and check that out. I'm painting signs here flat out, so I'm kind of, this next weekend's going to be a write-off, which is a pity. Well, not a write-off, but I've got to do some actual productive work, so that's this weekend. And this week, sort of, I'm going to have to run some letters on it tonight, probably. overcome some issues I had early on with it, and I got back to it. So we're doing great there. Paul, are they 8mm collars? No, they're Lorch 12.5s. They're a bit different 8s. They're quite a bit bigger. A bit more of a look. I guess you can't really tell. Hang on. They're a bit dusty. They could go away if I had somewhere to put them. It's coming. This is a Lorch 12.5. 12.5mm here, 11 by 1.5 thread, 11 by 1.5 I think. In metric there, what have we got? We got an imperial ruler. That's helpful. Let's try this one. In metric, they're about 97mm long, something like that. Yeah, the white balance thing we're working on, but we haven't quite got an answer properly yet. So that's a Lorch 12.5. That's a fairly big one there. Looking to buy these if you know of a source. And the next size down, which is only 10mm diameter and a bit shorter. Looking to buy those too, but hasn't really happened. Hey Paul. Lots of Pauls on the channel tonight. What's happened? I bought a new machine. There you go. I bought a new machine today, this week. Not a crazy expensive machine and a bit rough, really. No brand name or anything on it. They're a bit different to R8 collet. Quite a lot different actually. The R8's got an internal thread. There you go. There's some useful information. R8 collet's internal on the inside. It's got an internal draw belt. But they're sort of a Lorch standard. They don't fit anything else. Just what I need, another machine, that's right. Some of that green paint in the back is part of it. Are we going to see? Yes. Craig's an interesting ally at the moment because Craig's bought more machines than he can possibly ever restore in the last 12 months. I don't know if this is the answer really. No, it isn't. This is really very poor, and I apologise. I should have had something over here so that we could actually have a look at it. Hang on, we can do this. Probably. Maybe. Or maybe not. Pretty sure this isn't going to work, everyone. Yeah, not going to work. This plywood rack is a really, really bad solution for a microphone rack, for a camera rack, camera stand. Not good at all. Very poor. Let's try again. Trying again. Okay. Let's put the plywood rack somewhere else. This isn't the answer either. I'm really disorganized. Okay, here we go. Check this out. Maddie's like, need more info. Yeah, no problem selling that. Just reading through the comments. No, I don't, but someone will. Keep it, Wazzy. You need more things. Okay, this is a press, a punch press, I guess. It's old. It's about all I got, really. It's a kick press. It's about 1.5 tons, 2 ton, and it come out of a watch factory. And yeah, at this point, it looks like a boat anchor, and probably it will eventually come to pass to be one. The pendulum's out of it at the moment. It's over there on the bench. It's the green thing that is actually half like paint stripped and cleaned up and half a coat of paint on it, or a quarter of a coat of paint on it or something, because I'm using that tin of Dulux that everyone so kindly bought me. And we're going to have a look at that, because that tin of stuff's got the consistency of pea soup, actually. It's about, pea and ham soup is about what it looks like without the ham. So that's where we're at. Ask Stephen Lang, the man himself, is on the mark with that. Yes, I'm hoping to make 10 tin plate car and train parts with it. That's kind of the ultimate outcome. Probably it's going to get tooled up reasonably quick to make couplers for tin plate trains, because I think there's probably a market for them if we turned out a batch and had dies set up to make them. I'm not sure if there is, but Hornby couplers, there's a lot of Hornby rolling stock around with damaged ones. Thanks, Craig. So it's basically it's a pendulum or it's a inertia press, a bit like a fly press, only a little bit lighter work. The base is fabricated. I bought this on Facebook, on Marketplace. It was, look, I contacted the guy about 8:30, 9 o'clock the night that it was listed, and he said there was 3 to choose for, and I contacted him again earliest the next morning, and he said there was 1 to choose from. Now, by Thursday, someone had stuffed him around and there was 2 to choose from again. And so this was the better of the 2 and the most complete. But this base is actually welded up. It's fabricated. Hey, Jason. Have a look all around the bottom here. It's got a weld fillet on it. So it's all plate, actually. It's got a head that moves up and down with adjustable up and down spots. And it's got I'm going to zoom in here. I'll try to. If this doesn't work, it doesn't work. Let's try this. There we go. How's that? Most of them have T-slots through the base here. This one doesn't, which is a bit of a nuisance, but we'll live with it. The other ones that he had advertised did. It's got a clamp here on the bottom for a 3/4 die head, and usually have a die plate here that a round die sits in between these 2 bolts. Got a dovetail that slides up and down, and pivot pin for that arm which comes underneath with a pedal and a weight. Hey, Stephen. So this has been messed around with here. I'm going to move in closer. Hang on. Bag trolley time. This bag trolley is probably a pretty good idea, or I should weld a plate on it so that the camera's mounted permanently. It's not that good idea. It's actually a pretty dismal idea, but anyway. Let's zoom out a bit further. There we go. So this has been messed around with a bit, and I'm going to modify it a bit maybe. Have a look. It's probably not too bad. In a perfect world, this really needs a new die plate or new spacer plate in here, but I don't know if it's going to get it this time round. This is the adjustment plate. And it's got shims in here that are screwed on the bottom, and that's what adjusts the height. But someone's welded a piece on here, which is a bit ugly because the pendulum is worn more than the die plate will take up. It's probably not a bad repair, really. It looks a bit ugly, but it works. These are goes. There's a gib in here. Quite a big section dovetail here. Now, big question. Does anyone actually have any actual experience using one of these? There's been a couple of people on Instagram who actually knew the correct name for it, which is a good effort. Other than that, does anyone really know how to set it up? Or what? It's pretty straightforward. You've got a nut here, which adjusts your upper position, or your upper position there. I'm going to slide this up, sorry guys. And there's a couple of luck nuts on the top, which adjusts your depth position. There's a rubber thing in here or something. I don't know what this is. It's a pretty ordinary and very friable. Probably it's just a piece of insertion rubber. It might be something softer than that. But that takes the shock out of it when the pendulum returns, I guess. It's got an inch pin here, and it's got some pieces missing off the back. There is some YouTube videos. There's nothing particularly This thing was capable of doing some really good work. I scratched this base apart here, these grooves and things, and found some remnants of projects. Right, that this would have been used for, and we'll talk about the history of it in a minute. This is a top chenier off a watch band, I would imagine, ladies' watch band. There you go, how nice is that? I don't think it's gold, it's probably plated brass. It's wrapped around twice, and it's probably a 2 or 3 press operation really to do this three die operation. I reckon the first one cuts it out. Oh, come on, focus. Sorry. Not really winning there. And one to bend, the first bends around, and then another one to close it. So love to be able to know how to make dies to do that sort of work, but that's the sort of thing it would have done for most of its working life. There's a little tin cover off something. Might be a machine oil cover or something like that. Could be anything. It's a half-finished component that someone's dropped in the cracks and not managed to ever get out, and no one's ever bothered to pull it apart and clean it. So that's the sort of work this did, right? And Paul's right, there's a lot of black magic in full press tool design, there is. But it's an interesting field to study, if nothing else. So, is there a plate on it? Next question. Yeah, it's a plate. Right. The plate says J.W. Hanley Proprietary Limited. Plant item number 666, and that's crossed out and it's now 134. Now, J.W. Hanley Proprietary Limited, fairly interesting company if you Google them. They actually produced fishing reels and lawn bowls measures and watches or watch cases in Melbourne. So hence the pieces we found in the bottom. Hanley's made, I've seen Hanley watch cases, usually gold-filled stuff, like plated stuff, but fairly nice work. And during the war, they made surveying instruments for the war effort and optics like pocket periscopes and plane compasses for surveying and things like that. Take care, Kevin. Don't work too hard. Don't stay up too late. So Hanley's probably had 300 of these things on the floor, and they're all set up with a girl operating each one, and you dedicate half a dozen or 3 or 4 to a part, and that's all they did with a basket underneath and a sheet of steel, basically. So that's the only identification on this. Now, Raleig's made one in the UK, and this may be English or it may not be. I've got no idea. Most of these threads are Whitworth. These two in here are definitely Whitworth, and these two here are Whitworth. Whitworth spanners fit them, and they're Whitworth threads. The easy telltale is the 1/2 inch one. However, if we have a look at this bit over here with the awful green paint on it, it's pretty cool, this. Right? There's a thread here. Hi, Tom. There's a thread here. This paint's wet, actually, and needs another coat because this green isn't covering as well as I hoped it might. But 3 coats on this won't hurt. This is 1/2 inch 13, which is always fun. Not sure why, but this is the set screw out of that hole, and this is one of the hold down bolts out of the bottom. And they're a different thread, fairly conclusively. So, not sure. Got a Whitworth tap, because I'm Australian and everyone needs a Whitworth tap. That lines up beautifully. Don't have a UNC tap, because really never had any use for it. But that doesn't line up quite so well. So no idea why only one thread of it is 1/2 inch UNC. That's one of life's mysteries. Maybe someone tapped this hole out because it wasn't strong enough. So one's 12 and one's 13. It's definitely English. However, Hanley's had issues with European imports from machines, watch case machines. In fact, the Swiss kind of ran WJ out of town in the 20s for trying to undermine the export industry and produce watch cases overseas. Similar thing happens now if anyone from China or Hong Kong or the USA or even Australia goes to Switzerland and tries to to buy machines and know-how to make watch parts. The industry is still guarded in that manner. So he was put under embargo for machines that he'd bought and he couldn't export them. So it kind of makes sense that he bought machines out of America. But I don't know, maybe someone's tapped that later. It may have been 7/16 or something stupid. Not sure. So there we go. It's pretty standard weird. It needs a bit of work. There's some bits missing. If we have a look over here, I'm going to zoom out again. Sorry, guys. Can't really see that though. Can't feel you'll be able to see my awesome paint job. It's not that good actually. And we've still got white undercoat shining through. Whitworth was an interesting thread, and Whitworth was an interesting guy. His standard arrived sort of bizarrely by visiting and talking to various tradesmen in the UK and working out the standards that they used and applying a formula to them so that you ended up with something that could be calculated out as for threads that you didn't have. That didn't make any sense. But basically, guys like Holtz-Apfel and a dozen other machine makers in the UK had thread dies and things that they'd had for a long time, and when they needed one they just made one and made whatever they thought might be a good thing for it. And from that heritage came this thing called the Whitworth Standard Thread, a British standard Whitworth thread. It's kind of interesting history. If you're ever at the Science Museum in London, there's quite a lot about that actually. It's worth a visit. Even in 1880 there was no UNC or American Standard Thread. I mean, that's a new thing. I've got a lathe upstairs that I restored. It's got 7/16/14 threads on it. Now, yeah, that's just obscure, and that's American. Anyway, this goes on that pin in the press, and this leg, this huge leg, which is pretty heavy actually. It's kind of all I can do to lift it. Swings down, and this works between the jaws here, moving up and down. This hole here, I've got absolutely no idea what it's for. It looks factory, but I've got no idea what that is. It's got a grub screw in the middle for a pin. I've got zero idea what that does. It's not a secondary, like a secondary adjustment. It's something else, an accessory or something's gone on here out the back of the press. Still to work out what that is. Yeah, Bill, they gave us ISO after fighting and screaming and scrambling for against it for a terrible long time. And the only reason they went with ISO because they couldn't agree on any standard that they thought was a good thing. And even until the 70s, the French and the Swiss had some really crazy standards that didn't actually mean anything. They were worse standards than metric or imperial, really. And the Swiss inch system was atrocious. And I still have catalogues come in the mail today with watch parts in them that are still measured in Swiss inches. And it's just, seriously, why? I don't know. And thread systems too. What was the Swiss French system was the French instrument thread Thury, the Thury thread system was basically what BA was based on. Probably made a little bit more sense than BA, but it was also made by the French, who couldn't decide on anything. And it was used in Switzerland, and they couldn't even decide which side they were on in the war. So there you go. And then the Germans had Löwenherz, which is one of those also crazy threads, and that launch lathe over there has way too many Löwenherz threads in it to be practical. And that's 1920. It was still a current thread form. There was no standards till after the Second World War, really, universally. Anyway. BSW fits most threads, except half inch. I like BA. Main reason I like BA is because there's a range of nice bolts and nuts available for it. If there wasn't a range of nice bolts and nuts available for it, I would probably look for other alternatives. But BA was the last of a long line of crazy instrument threads that got both sides through World War One. Paul, looking at that, I don't believe so. It could be for a spring assist, but it's not in a place that really gives any mechanical advantage at all. So, and I'm not sure what it would have attached to. So it's a machined hole, and it's a 3/4 bored, or decently bored hole in it, and it's got a grub screw in the back here, which looks like it's about 1/4 inch to fasten a pin in. So I'm not sure what that is. This is a stop here. Can you see that? There's a stop here where it touches on the base. And there should be, I believe, which is missing, may have just been an optional accessory, and for the sort of work this did, it probably never had it. But there should be an adjustable weight on the bottom here that you can slide up and down and add weights to. So basically a bracket to hold like cast iron weights. Not a huge thing to make. So if we have a look, this bag trolley is not really the answer here either. I'm going to have to think of something better if we're going to do this often. So this lever comes out here like this and down the back, and that hole's about here. So all that weight is hanging past it, so any spring on there is not going to make a whole lot of difference, I don't think. Hey JB. You missed roll call. So this base has this groove through here on each side. I'm not sure why they're there. I'm suspicious that there may have been a fence or something on there for parts, or it could have been anything. I'd say it's factory, or it's something that's been made up for this particular purpose. It's got two holes in the top here. There's late fees. Housing update, please, JB. Love to hear what you're up to. Two tapped holes here, which are about quarter. I don't know what was on there. May have been a plate. There may have been a frame that's just something to do with that. With that other hole. Not sure. There's another tapped hole in here, which could be anything. And there's two tapped holes in the front, which is probably for a safety cover once it was set up, I would imagine, to stop ladies getting their fingers in there and getting them jammed when they were putting their foot on the... That's kind of what I was thinking. So that's the new toy for anyone who's sort of half interested. And this is my very, very poor camera mount. Most of these you see, the Hanley and the Heine and... Oh, sorry, the Raleigh and the Heine and various other makes, Norton made one, have a T-slot in here so that you can just slide your bolts in each side and move them sideways and bolt a plate down in the right spot. This one doesn't for some reason. But there should be a die plate or a sole plate goes on here with slotted holes here, and a board centre for a die, like a round die, a punch die, and then a 3/4 press, like a mandrel goes in here for punching. So worst case scenario, it'll punch 1/4 inch holes in brass. So there we go. It's going to get pulled down in a coat of paint and a clean up, so it's half decent. And you guys, thank you very much. Managed to pitch in and get me a coat of awful green paint. Can I say that? Which is that colour. So it's a matter of getting some of that paint down. Hi, John. It's green. It's vibrant. it's very, very difficult to get to cover white undercoat, but we'll get there, and that's what we're at with. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. There's another piece of board up the other end that's being turned into advertising signage, but might show you that when we're a bit further along with it. I'd be Freddo Frog, that's right. There's no plates, no names, no nothing on this machine, and I've got no idea what it is, except I would expect that it's pre-World War II, because that would have been the last, that's a kick press, JB, would have been the last serious amount of machines that Handleys would have bought, I guess, would have been before World War II to tool up again. It could be quite a lot before that. And it might have been just something made locally by the war effort and dumped on them to tool up. What does it weigh? I can lift all the bits individually, just like that press on top is pretty hard work. The bench broken down into 3 segments really isn't such a huge ordeal. And this leg is, it's not a 2-person lift, but if you put the leg in the price, it's a probably 2 people can't lift it. It'll do eyelets and leather punching and all that sort of stuff, cardboard punching and box handles and all that stuff as well. So I'm honestly not sure. I'd say it's about 2 ton. That's where I'm at. Yeah, mine you can pick up sort of, I can pick up, but this is pretty solid. And it's not all that much smaller than a 5-ton fly press, but there's a whole lot more inertia in a fly press than this, so I don't know. Really don't know. Anyway, that's most of what I've been up to this weekend. Bought this locally. The guy come and delivered it, dropped it off here and set it up. I put the bits together because it was all in bits. And it's just a matter now of, I gave it a good degrease, clean up. It was pretty dirty. Scratched around and found some parts that it's actually made years ago. And no matter now, put it down, undercoat it and giving it a coat of green and putting it back together and forgetting about it for a bit. Because I've got, honestly, 1,000 other projects as well, but look around for some steel for some dies. Now, who wants to look at the library? Let's go upstairs and have a look what we're doing up there. I'm going to take you off the bag trolley. See, now you're all shaky. We'll take the bag trolley, which is here, see? And rather than bump it up the stairs and annoy the crap out of everyone all the way up, which would be fun, but probably uncalled for, let's do it. There's that little lathe there. Some odd threads in that. This landing was full of books a week ago. Oh, that's mucked up your colour balance. So we'll get some sort of a attachment here in a minute. Maybe. Or maybe not, depending. Really good system. This camera mount, it's going to fall off at any minute. Stuart, porn stashed away. So new bookshelves, 3 new bookshelves in there, another one across the other side of the room. This is my magazine collection, right? Some of it. It's kind of getting sorted out as we go. There's boxes here everywhere still. It's all over the floor. We've got tiny little periodicals like Model Maker and Model Mechanics. We've got things like Model Engine Builder. We've got Strictly IC. We've got Australian Model Engineer. We've got Model Engineers Workshop. We've got Gas Engine Magazine. And we've got Engineering in Miniature. And apart from that, everything else is Model Engineer Magazine. We've got Model Engineer from 1898. There's a few gaps in the 1906, 1907, 1908. There's a few gaps in the 20s, and there's a few gaps in the late 30s. But apart from that, we're doing pretty good. I would like to get this cleaned up, and probably I'm seriously thinking about building a model railway track in here. I'm not sure if it's going to happen in this room or whether it's going to be a portable track or whether it's something downstairs that's going to fold up. I really don't know. But there's not a lot of room in this room for a long run. But it might be nice to have some display area here anyway. This is O-gauge Hornby here, along the windowsill, mostly. So, Model Engineer, some of the early stuff is bound reproduction volumes, which is pretty good enough for me. I'm not really jumping out trying to find 1901, 1902, 1903 genuine copies, because they're pretty tatty by now and they're hard to read and too good really to read. But Model Engineer did reproduce a lot of this stuff. Let's have a look. This is basically it's the real thing. Model Engineer and Electrician. It's a bound volume, volume 32, which is 1915. This is First World War. Not a lot of content during the First World War, to be honest. Some seriously nice castings from Bassett Loke that no one could afford. And some really nice plates that they were still doing in 1915. So it was sort of a spare no expense sort of a thing still by then. And I think it was still, Model Engineer was still weekly. So there's one from January the 14th, January the 21st, January the 28th would be the next one. So it's still weekly until, gosh, the early 20s, I think, when it went back to one bi-weekly. This is to give you some idea here. These ones here is volume 1 and 2, which are genuine, like they're originals. It's been at some point a bound copy and the cover's missing, so they're pretty rough. And usually with bound copies, what happened was that the ads disappeared. You'd be very, very lucky to get bound copies with ads, because it was more work and cost more to bind them. So the covers and ads all disappeared. If you're lucky, like that blue volume, you end up with bound copies that actually have ads in them. But more likely, they don't. So what you get is something that looks like this. This is a reprint. This is volume 1, 1898. And it's only about half as thick as the genuine ones, because there's no ads in this. There's some ads, but nothing crazy. And that's the first cover. So they're worth having if you see them. Don't pay exorbitant prices for them, because it is a repro. They were reprinted in the 70s and 80s, I think, but with that cover on them. There's a couple of different versions. There's one that's got Roman numerals, volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or Latin numerals, and one with Roman numerals. So hence there's one issue, which is volume 4, and this one, which is volume 7. But can't tell you when they come out or which one come out first. But they are definite different sets. And I've got a lot of those too, through to about volume 25, something like that. There's a box of them here somewhere. There's of course no colour in these, and there's no really nice plates in them. If we look at these, which are actual genuines, it's volume 13. And this one here, which is pretty sad, is volume 28, which is 1913. Awesome magazine. Lots of cool stuff in this. So they're all here in various stages of decay. The little ones are depression era, like the big magazines, and then they went to the smaller one in the 30s to save paper, and kept that format until 1949, 1950, something like that, 1951, when they went back to a bigger format, which was, well, that's from 1960, but it went back to this format. And then in 1968, they went bigger again. To this one. No, not that late. That one's 1964, so I'm wrong there. And then from there, 1975, 1976, they went to the current format, which is this one. Bigger again. So, I now, if anyone wants a Toolfest 2021 project, this is a good place to start. Something else I was going to show you. This is a must. If you can score one of these somewhere. Late Rockin' Horse done, I think. Probably still available. It's fairly fine print. I think Guy Lortard actually sat down. He was American, but I think he actually sat down and typed this and photocopied it and reduced it. But it's pretty close print, close set print. But every single article's there. 55 days ago, Paul says. That's right. So that's the magazine collection, which is slowly getting stacked up. I'm going to need another bookcase, I think, to fit all this stuff in. I don't think it's all going to fit in here. And probably at the end here, I'll put something extra. Now, this actually stood up on the door frame here particularly well. There's a built-in robe in this end. Probably this should have been my bedroom, if I'm honest. Hey, Russ Knox, good to see you. Hope the coffin wasn't too ominous. We were a bit worried about that. So there's another bookcase in there. There's a lot of DVDs that are probably going to get tossed. There's a set of Anne of Green Gables. There's a few sets of books here. These are mostly picture books. Of course, they're still up here. They haven't escaped at any point. These are, some of these are Model Engineer. These are all Model Engineer. Yeah, Model Engineer. Model Engineer. Home Shop Machinist, which is an excellent magazine. And then we come through here to Model Engineers Workshop, some of the later ones, and all sorts of variable stuff that needs sorting out. And if we come down here, there's more books, mostly technical stuff. And more of the same. So that's how we're going with the library. It's a pretty crazy sort of a job. There's books and papers here everywhere, and we're getting through them slowly, but full set of Rex Hunt Fishing Magazine. I'm good, thanks. So yeah, some Tintin. There's some tractor and machinery and some stationary engine and stuff there as well, and books and things. There's some horological times and some horological journal. Warren says, who wants to learn to kiss fish? I like that. I think you've got to be Australian to actually... There's squeaky chairs up here too, so... So, right. As a camera mount, this has its limitations, and I'm sorry about that. I've tried oiling it, I've tried all sorts of things. I think it's got a loose screw in it. It's a bit of a job. Anyway, fridge, your magazines are in there somewhere. I'll get to them at some point. I don't think it's COVID. Anyway, so this is a 3D printed camera mount, but it's really not the ideal thing, to be honest. It needs a second itineration. It's great for the workbench. These tank engines are pretty rough. Might trade them for some decent stuff. Things like this are pretty rare. There's another bike out there. Don't ask about the other bike. You'll feel better if you don't know about the other bike. That's not Hornby. That's Metco, I think. Yeah, it's Metco. That's junk compared to Hornby. And there's track. So whether I lay a double track around here and around the wall here and up the other end, and I don't know, I really don't know. It's not a huge track. It's only a bit of a radius in here, but it eats into the room a bit. So not sure about that. Let's have a look at this other bike. Craig gets it from a relative. This floor is not a shelf thing, isn't working out for me at the moment. There's still boxes of books out here everywhere. This bike moved with me, right? So that you get your motion sickness legs back, I'm going to put this on here. And apologise for the hands-free camera. So this is nothing short of a hoarded project, right? It's a Swapsy. It's a pretty tidy little bike there. It's got a seat. It's a pretty tiny little bike too. It's not big. It's for an Italian It's an Italian lady's bike. It's a Lanano with a G. It's mid-50s. It's got the makings of a very, very, very pretty bike. There's no rust in it seriously much. There's most of the plating still there. It has a seat, it has guards, it has chain guard, it has skirt guards, all that sort of stuff's there. It's just a matter, it's got rod brakes and it's got all the badges, all those sort of things. It's a pretty nice little bike actually. So if anyone wants a bike project, it's one there. I'm happy to swap it for something. Or even just sell it, honestly. I think it cost me $1 and it was too good to leave there, and it seems sacrilege to take it to the tip. So it's a pretty tidy little Italian bike. There's a bit of Lanano styling, which makes it hard to work on, like all Japanese, all Italian motor vehicles or passenger vehicles. I don't think it's limited to motor vehicles. Stupid design ideas with this, like you can see that here. The rods are through the handlebars for the brakes. Right, so it's all dust protected through the handlebar here. Awesome idea, very streamlined. Really stupid. Full oil bar chain guard in metal, 3 pieces in tin. Also a stupid idea, but it's there. This one is pretty much complete, and probably that's the one I should be restoring, but it's too small a bike for me, so I'm not probably going to do it at any point. But it's all there, and it's a pretty nice bike. And at this point, it's up here, so I don't know whether it'll sort of, at some point, whether anything will ever happen to it. But a pressure clean and some car polish, and it'll probably come up all right. I could Craig, but I haven't got time to do it at the moment. What are we blaming Rust Knox for? A stack of drawings for John Deere there. And what appears to be an Eva Cassidy CD. And a box of assorted books and things there. There's a laser cutter there, and some camera stuff that's still sitting around. There's a Jobo Auto Lab there. Anyone knows what that is? There's a model engineering project. It's a box of chemicals. There's an RC car in that box. There we go. I've got a lot of junk. Peter, yeah, it looks so nice. That's right. That's the trouble. That's where I left my bag when I come home. There's 2 more bikes there. We're not even going to look at those. And at the moment, this is dirty, and every time I brush up against it, I get covered in black. So at this point, it's getting a coat of paint. So there we go. Very little progress on the locomotive. Do I have a working bike? Yes, there is a working bike there, yes. Anyway, I guess we're sort of about finished. I don't know if there's much else to really discuss or talk about. You've seen what I've been up to. Boiler update on this? Which boiler? Paul. Sorry. Boiler update on this locomotive. Nothing's happened. There we go. Going to try and get to the Model Engineering Club at some point, but it hasn't happened yet because seriously, there's too many other things to deal with. I've got some work to actually get out of the way and stuff like that. This chair squeaks too. All my chairs squeak. Apologise for that. This one's not as bad. Anyway, I think I'm probably out. No one's got anything to add to the conversation. It looks like you're all asleep. By the way, if you're painting stuff, this stuff's magic. Good stuff, this. Take care, everyone. Be kind to each other. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for keeping me company on Wednesday night. Really appreciate that. For everyone who asks, there will be some channel videos at some point, honestly. But it feels like my days are super full of stuff that really isn't worth taking videos of. Be kind to each other. I'm out, and I'll probably be on Discord for a bit after I do run a row of text along this sign. So another half hour. Thanks, guys.